Courtney,
Hey.
nice to meet you.
Great to meet you too.
Welcome to the workshop.
Thanks, I'm excited to be here.
So you wrote in about an older house with older windows. So
Yes.
tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, we have a 1920s row house with old windows. We love the way they look, but there's some problems with them. They're pretty drafty in the winter, lots of issues. So I was hoping we could talk about options we might have to update the windows, but kind of keep the integrity of the older charm of the house.
Yeah, well, here in the workshop we have an older window. So let me bring this forward here so I can show you a little bit about the anatomy of an older window.
Okay.
This is a single pane double hung window, right? Because it has an upper sash and a lower sash.
Yeah, looks familiar.
Very familiar, right?
Yeah.
So the single pane glass is obviously, it's not a great insulator, and it also doesn't have any coatings on it, like low E coatings, which we'll talk about. We also have a lot of air leaks around the gaskets, because there are no gaskets, and around the meeting rail, which is right here between the upper and lower sash, and also at the very bottom. So you can add weather stripping like we did on this one, but that's not common in a lot of windows.
Yeah, and I know at least on our windows in like a high windstorm, some of the glass even rattles back and forth.
And you hear like a whistle coming
Yeah,
through.
exactly, yeah.
It was great at the time, but there's definitely been a lot of improvements over time. One of the things to point out is this counterweight system. So if I pull off the casing, I can show you a little bit more about this double hung window, is that there are two pulleys and two weights. These counterweights basically go up and down with the window, as you can see.
Oh, okay.
And you can see that that is an air pocket, which is a perfect place for outdoor air to get in the
Yeah,
winter.
definitely.
So people think about the window as being leaky, but there's also a lot of leaks that are happening around the casing and around the frame of the window as
Right.
well.
And you can't really insulate it or else the weights won't move.
Exactly.
Right? Okay.
You take the purpose of the window away.
Yeah.
So the newer windows don't have that. They don't have these pockets. They don't have the counterweights at all. So it's a far superior upgrade,
Okay.
obviously going in that direction.
Yeah.
So you can add shrink kits, right? And you can, hit it with, a heat gun and try to, tighten that window up and
I
make
do
it
that
more sealed.
every winter.
All right,
Yeah.
good. So that's a big step in the right direction. You can add weather stripping and caulking around.
Yes.
You can do things like that, but there's not a ton more improvements that at least DIY or that are easy to do.
Okay.
The next step after that is either looking at storm windows. Do you guys have those? Or?
We do. We have some storm windows. They're getting a little stuck, so they're not really movable, which
Yep.
defeats the purpose of the window, especially in the summer because we don't have air conditioning. We like to get the breeze through the house.
Yeah,
so.
those always get stuck.
Exactly.
That's a tricky one.
Yeah.
So then the next thing is really to move into a new window or upgrade those windows, literally look to upgrade those windows. So I got another one to show you.
Great.
So this is what a modern replacement window looks like. All right.
Okay.
So what you're looking at is 4/1. It's a double hung window, similar to what we talked about before.
Okay.
But we actually have 2 layers of glass. All right. So when I look at a cutaway section of what this looks like inside that window, so you have 2 panes of glass, like I mentioned. You have a spacer, and that spacer allows the argon gas to be filled in between the 2 panes of glass.
Oh, why argon?
So argon's a noble gas, but it's a better insulator than air.
Oh, okay.
So it's going to really do a really good job of keeping the heat inside your building and not allowing that cold to come in.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it minimizes heat transfer. You can also see with the frame between inside and outside, you can see that it's thermally broken. And what that means is that, we don't have a single material here. We actually have a gasket that separates the inside from the outside.
Okay. Whereas on the old windows, it'd be one solid piece of wood.
That's right, a solid piece of wood that would be allowing that heat to transfer from outside to inside very easily.
Okay.
Here we get to block that, and this is filled with air, so it becomes another insulation layer.
I see. So what is this made out of?
It's made of a reclaimed wood and polymer composite.
Oh, okay.
It's a great material for UV degradation, making sure that the sun's not going to break it down over time that we have with previous types of windows, and allows it to have the energy efficiency we just talked about.
Okay.
So yeah, so let's look at the window here. You have your sash lock. This is the lock that obviously provides security, but the other most important part here is that it actually pulls the upper and lower sash together.
Oh, okay.
So when you actually make this lock, it's actually pulling it against the gasket. So when you open it to unlock, you can actually then have it go up and down.
Okay.
And you notice that there's no counterweight that's in this pocket that you had with the old windows.
Yeah. So what's the mechanism here then?
So it's a spring actuated,
I see. Okay.
counterweight. And so that allows us to get a much better window with less air, so we don't have to worry about that heat transfer coming through the pocket.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay, and if you were replacing a window, you would still seal up, air seal and insulate that pocket,
Okay.
just like you normally would.
Okay.
So with that going up and down, you can see we have that gasket that seals. You still get the ability to then take it one step further, which is now to flip it
wow.
open for cleaning,
Amazing.
right? So you can slide this down, and you can actually do that for the top as well.
So I can throw out my ladder.
Throughout the ladder.
Just clean
That's right.
in my living room.
That's
Amazing.
right.
Okay.
So easy to clean, which is awesome.
Yeah.
The other thing that people forget about with double pane windows is that they act as a noise reduction.
Okay.
And so because you have the 2 layers of glass, you're going to stop a lot of the noise from outside, inside, and because it's gasketed, you're going to stop a lot of the air that's moving from inside to outside.
Okay.
So energy efficiency wise and comfort wise feel much better because you don't have those air leaks coming through.
Yeah.
And you don't have that heat really, being pulled from your body. The other thing that this glass has is a low E coating.
What does that mean?
So it's low emissivity.
Okay.
And what that means is that the glass is actually coated with a special material that allows the heat, the infrared radiation, to stay inside the building. So it keeps the heat in and
Okay.
it keeps the heat out from the outside.
Got it.
It also helps with UV getting through so you don't have the staining and the discoloration of wood floors like when you pull back a rug or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yep. Definitely.
So that coating is really kind of the secret sauce, I think, for a lot of these windows that prevents and makes sure that heat stays inside the building, helps with that comfort as well.
Yeah. And does it keep the cool air inside as well in the summer?
That's right.
Okay.
It works both ways.
Gotcha.
Yep. Heating and cooling.
Now, are these 4 different panes of glass, or is it?
Yeah, no, so it's actually 1 pane here.
Okay.
It's simulated to look like it's 4 panes.
Gotcha.
Like you had in the single pane window example
Yeah,
that we
right.
just showed. And then you have 1 in the bottom. So it's actually 2 panes of glass that are double paned, but they're not broken here.
Okay. So you have the historic charm of the facade, but you don't need gaskets or anything that will leak eventually. And
That's right. Less gaskets to seal, and it still gives you the historic look. So you can have 4/1 like we have here. You
Right.
could have 2/1. So you can pick and choose
Okay.
what you want to have for the look and
Okay.
feel. And these can also be professionally installed to be professionally fit and ordered to match.
okay, because 1920s house might not have a standard window size.
No, the photos that you sent me, you could see, some of the windows had settled a little
Right,
bit. They were
yeah.
a lot of plum. So, so that's a very big point there. So when it's professionally installed, they'll come out, they'll measure to make sure they get the rough opening size.
Okay, yeah.
And then these would be made to match that opening, manufactured custom to fit like a glove. So you can really stop those air leaks around the perimeter there and make sure it's going to fit nice and tight.
Right. So this doesn't seem like something I can install myself.
No, this wouldn't be a DIY project.
Okay.
But once you do select that window, you really want to find a professional contractor or company that really specializes in windows.
Okay.
You could have the best window in the world, and if it's not installed right, you're going to have not a great outcome.
Gotcha.
So, one way to go is with companies that specialize in this, and they do the whole thing, right? They'll do the demo of the old windows, they'll remove those, they'll measure, they'll help you with the design side of it, and then they'll install the windows properly and air seal them. And that's a great way to go because it's a single source of responsibility for the whole process.
How long am I left with a hole in my house?
So I think that the main goal here is that the measurements are taken ahead of time, the windows are ordered, and then they're installed all in the same day or at least in that same
okay.
time period. So when they remove a window, they're replacing that window and they step through step by step.
I see.
That way they're minimizing disruption for the family and for you.
Great. This all sounds really great, and I can definitely see how replacing our windows is going to make a big difference, but it honestly sounds pretty expensive.
Well, it is an investment in your home, right? It's a large investment. But you think about windows, right? That is the weak point in the building envelope,
Sure.
right? It's the weakest performer from a thermal perspective and from an air sealing perspective. So upgrading with modern efficient windows is a really good thing. And it really does affect the comfort of the building. It makes it much more comfortable.
Right.
It does lower the energy bills, and it does increase the value of your home. So there are a lot of things to consider there for your house.
Definite benefits for sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Courtney, thank you so much for coming to the workshop.
This was so great. There was a lot more to windows than I ever thought about before. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Good luck on your project.
Thank you.
You know where to find us.
Yeah.